off with those big banks. We're still getting a lot of banks here in the second week, a lot of those regional banks, but I wanted to focus on some of the other companies that are going to be reporting out of the big cap kind of industrial names, not technology, but these are names that have rallied quite a bit along with technology. What are they doing now and what are they seeing with this COVID outbreak hitting again here in Q4? This is going to be an interesting earnings season to watch these particular names. What are they? Let's dive right in and find out. So the first one out of the gate is Fastenal, ticker FAST. And those who follow me on Twitter or are in one of the newsletter subscription services knows that this is one of my favorite stocks. Fastenal, remember, they do fasteners, and they're big in the manufacturing side, so they kind of reflect what's happening in manufacturing. They also make a lot of PPE, which has been a big driver over the last 2 years, obviously during the coronavirus. But how much is that even impacting at this time now that everyone can mostly get the PPE in some fashion? But we'll see. But look at this chart, just 2 misses in the last 5 years. So they have a good track record here of meeting or beating, and the shares have been hitting these new highs over the last year, up 17%, so a little bit under what the S&P 500 has been doing. But over the last month, you can see a little bit of a fall here. So that's a little bit of a pullback here on the stock market weakness, down just 7% over the last month, however. Still kind of pricey for these shares. I'm a big fan, as I said, but it's trading at 34 times, and that's pretty pricey for me for this type of company. But still, I tune in to find out what's going on with the economy, especially on the manufacturing and construction side, because that's where they're big. So you might want to tune in to see that as well. Then we're going to switch over to a couple of transports here, and we're going to start with United Airlines, UAL. Is the ticker. Now, this is interesting to me because I haven't paid that much attention to the airlines. I'm probably one of the few who hasn't been watching them or owning them over the last 2 years. But we did get the big movement out of the coronavirus lows there in 2020. But in 2021, shares haven't done all that much. They're up only about 13% over the last year. And not even 10%, sorry, over the last year, but they are getting a little bit of a boost here, even during the Omicron outbreak, because the shares tend to sell off, everybody panics, and then they rebound quickly. So we are seeing a little bit of that here. They have beat the 2 times in a row, so they've got a mini streak going on here. Shares are not cheap either with this one, trading at 26 times, but it is a play on the economy reopening. And people definitely will want to be traveling into this summer, peak summer travel season. So I'm going to be watching because the transports are very important here as we start 2022. And speaking of transports, we have the other side, the railroads. And this is a really pretty chart by Union Pacific, ticker UNP. And you can see they have put together 3 out of 4 over the last quarters. They're pretty consistent, got a couple misses in there, but not a big deal for the railroads. These shares have been hitting new highs here to start 2022, but pulled back just slightly, but not very much, down a little under 1% for the last month. These shares also not that cheap, trading at about 22 times forward earnings. So this is also one we're going to be watching because the rails have just been moving all these things we've been ordering and buying around the country. I like Union Pacific out of the rails because they have those big LA area ports and they have the distribution facilities along the Mexico border. So I'm liking their business model, and we'll see what they're doing here to start 2022. Then let's switch over to one of the kind of high growth favorite names, Intuitive Surgical, ISRG. So they make the Da Vinci surgical system, and they've already given preliminary guidance here for Q4 and even into 2022. And it was pretty good here for Q4, given the fact that we had the Delta outbreak and the start of the Omicron outbreak. Usually that means there's going to be less surgical procedures and it goes into the growth of their procedures, but it was still up 19% year over year because last year's fourth quarter also had the big outbreak and procedures were halted or postponed. So this year we're doing better than last year, up 19%. 2021 procedures up 28% versus 2020, or 14% compounded annually since 2019. So they are still seeing pretty decent recovery here. They gave guidance in 2022 of further procedures up 11% to 15%. So still the recovery is happening. So why this big sell-off? Look at this big drop right here. It's down pretty big over the last month, almost 10%. And that's because this stock is just extremely expensive. Even with this recent little pullback here, it's still trading at 56 times forward estimates. And that's a big PE to have in a rising rate environment. So you're seeing some pullback here, could be a buying opportunity in these shares if it continues. Also has a great track record, just those two misses back in 2019. So I'm expecting another beat here. And mostly we already kind of know what they're looking for 2022, but the conference call will still be interesting to get, current color on what is happening on the procedures here in the US and worldwide. So Intuitive Surgical, one I'm going to be watching. Then we're going to wrap it up with PPG Industries on the industrial sides, paints and coatings, ticker PPG. This is an important area too for the inflation side of things. What are they seeing on those costs rising? Are they raising as well? And what's happening with the labor side? They too have a pretty good track record. They did have that one miss there in 2021, but otherwise a lot of meets or beats. And, this one not doing as much over the last year, but still up 11% over the last year. Over the last month, down 0.5%, reflecting the weakness, but not nearly down what we've seen with the tech companies. And the PE, not as bad on PPG, trading at 20 times, but still a little pricey for this company. And the inflation issue, margins, those are going to be another thing to watch with PP&G this quarter. So these are some interesting stocks that are reporting this week, again, in addition to the large banks. And we're going to get the first of the FANG stocks. So they're going to start to roll out. But you don't want to miss a single Earnings All-Stars video because next week things are really going to heat up with hundreds of companies reporting, a lot of the key S&P 500 companies, a lot of the tech titans, as we like to call them, will be reporting. So you don't want to miss a single episode. Get us all on YouTube. Join our YouTube channel over there. We're on Zacks.com/YouTube. That's how you can find it. And be sure to check out all of our videos there, including top stock picks of the week, because you get a few good top stock picks every week also on YouTube. But I'll be back next week with some more earnings charts.